Hi, my name is Sarah Noble, and it's gonna take me a little bit to get comfortable on camera. I don't really know how to compose myself, and also I'm pretty critical of the way I look and the way I talk, so it's kind of hard to see myself on the webcam. And I'm also afraid that my mom will hear me because she's downstairs. Yeah, well, I just wanted to vent a little bit, and I thought maybe I could start a YouTube channel because I feel like I'm not really your typical person, and I've had a lot of mental issues and life experiences. I mean, I know everyone deals with hard life experiences, but I feel like mine are a little bit atypical. And I'm also a huge overthinker, so I kind of think about my life a lot and why I am the way I am, and kind of put it together in my head and analyze everything very frequently. So I just wanted to share some of my thoughts and conclusions and reasons that I am the way I am. So, right now, I'm not feeling too good. Yeah, my parents are saying they're going to get divorced, but they've said that a lot. Right now, I'm just kind of thinking of what parts I want to share. I have pretty bad social anxiety, so right now it kind of feels like I'm talking to a person, and it makes me kind of anxious. So just give me a second to kind of collect myself. I'm gonna try not to really edit this video, so it's more authentic. Yeah. And if it skips at all, it's probably because I had to pause for a bit. You're probably not missing any of my thoughts. I'm trying to do it kind of stream of conscious. So, just gonna breathe. Yeah, I've had pretty bad panic attacks lately. It's not fun. So my parents have never really had the happiest marriage. When I was younger, my mom would always complain to me about my dad, but not just minor complaints, very huge complaints. She would say that she doesn't love him. She would say that she's looking at apartments and stuff like that. And that was really hard for me because at home she seemed like such a perfect mother, and she would always be really nice to him, but I knew that that wasn't who she was, and it was just really painful for me to see, and it definitely made me resent my dad a lot. And at this time, I was also transitioning to a high school, a private school that my mom taught at. That's why I started at the private school, because since she taught there, I got a huge discount, and otherwise my family wouldn't have been able to afford sending me there. And I just did not fit in at all. People had been with each other since 5th grade, and I started in 10th grade, and I was really shy, and I didn't know it at the time, but I had a lot of symptoms of social anxiety. I would talk to people and feel like I couldn't breathe, and feel like everything I was saying was stupid. It wasn't really your typical self-conscious teenage mindset. It was a little bit more extreme. I mean, I'm still not sure how extreme it is. I'm starting therapy on Tuesday, so in 2 days. Yeah, but now I'm just going on a tangent. So back to describing the time period. So I was also a gymnast, and I loved gymnastics. I focused all of my energy on training. I trained 4 hours a day, every day, except for Saturday and Sunday. But actually, wait, I trained on Saturday for 5 hours. Yeah. But I didn't have practice on Wednesdays. And at this time, I was training as a level 7, and I was really improving. But I didn't really have much of a social life because I was always training, and my teammates were younger than me. I was about 15. It was sophomore year, so yeah, I was 15, and my teammates were 13. Some of them were 12. There were a couple who were 14, and um, I was never like super good friends with them. I always kind of felt like I didn't quite fit in. I was starting to definitely fit in more as I started improving. They gained respect for me because when I started, I came from the rec program into the really competitive program, so I had to catch up to them, and so um, they kind of definitely like thought I wasn't good enough to be on the team, and um, yeah, but I improved, so they gained respect for me, and um, yeah, so at the time gymnastics was going pretty well, but as I got better, I started also getting more critical of myself, and I felt like maybe if I was more toned, um, I would be able to look better doing the skills that I was performing. And I had to wear a skin tight leotard every day, and there were mirrors all around the gym, so that was a lot. Yeah, so I started getting really critical of my body, and I definitely started trying to eat healthier, and then I started restricting my calories, and I lost some weight, and I felt better, and it got really addictive. So that was when I started developing an eating disorder, and even to this day, it's very, very, very difficult for me to talk about. Um, I definitely would never talk about it with my parents or my sister. I've only been able to tell like friends who I meet recently, because sometimes it's easier to tell people you don't know that well. Um, so I was in complete denial, trying to hide it, saying, I'm trying to eat healthy, I'm so healthy, like, look at how healthy I am. And this is when things got really, really bad between my dad and I. He suspected I was anorexic. I definitely wouldn't say I was actually, like, clinically anorexic. I just definitely had an eating disorder, though. It wasn't all about not eating, it was just, like, certain foods were terrifying for me. Like, I would never touch dessert. Eating out scared me. I just developed a fear of certain foods. Oils scared me. Yeah, it was. I remember for lunch, I started off having a turkey sandwich that I would get at the cafeteria and a bag of pop chips, because pop chips are fairly low calorie and pretty filling. And they kind of satisfy your cravings for something salty and crunchy besides chips. So that's what I started with having. And then I cut out cheese, so I would not have cheese in my sandwich. It would be a plain sandwich, just some wheat bread. I would not have white bread. I was terrified of white bread. Wheat bread and turkey and pop chips, and that was it. And I would be hungry throughout the day, and I would love the feeling of being hungry. It became my obsession. I didn't talk to anyone. All I thought about was just getting through the day and eating what I set out to eat at the beginning of the day. And this went on for a while, and I lost some weight, and my dad noticed. And I remember one night, he got really drunk, and he grabbed my hand. He said, "You are anorexic. You need to be hospitalized." It was terrifying, because when he was sober, he would never talk about it to me. But sometimes I would hear him and my mom fighting about me. My mom would defend me, saying, "I'm okay, like it's not that bad." And my dad would say, "She needs to be hospitalized. She's mentally ill. It's not even her talking to me. It's her disease," which is really extreme. Okay, so I'm gonna go on another tangent right now because it fits into this story. So I found out that my dad has a really big stigma against anything mental. His sister um, is very like not mentally stable after her divorce. She went to basically an asylum because she was crazy, and my whole dad's side of his family suspects that she isn't actually as crazy as she makes it seem. She's kind of abusing the whole governmental support of people with mental illnesses. So she has episodes that are timed with the times that I'm not quite sure how it works, but they're timed with the times that the financial support runs out, and she displays the exact symptoms that she needs to get the drug she wants. In talking to her, my dad's found out that a lot of people do this, and a lot of people like try to have the symptoms that get them the meds that have a good street value so they can sell them and get money. So I don't know if that's where it started. I don't really. My dad doesn't share a whole bunch to me, but he definitely has a stigma against anything mental and thinks that you're a weak person, and he seems so afraid of it. And when he's afraid, he gets into this terrifying mode. You can see it in his eyes. He's just so angry. He has no sympathy, no love for you. So that was really, really scary for me when he did that. And when I heard him talk to my mom about it, it was terrifying. And I also found out that my mom's been on medication for depression and anxiety has a huge genetic component, so I think that's probably like, I probably inherited it, but my mom never talked to me about it because of my dad's stigma against it. When my dad found out that my mom was taking medication, he said to her that he's been living with a stranger and he tried to throw out her meds. So I didn't know about this until last night. Last night, everything in my household exploded because I tried to talk to my parents about depression, and my dad got into the mode that I just told you about, and he went off really hard, and my mom, it turns out, has been faking. She says she's been faking everything for the past 30 years, and she's so unhappy, and she wants to divorce him right now. That's what she said last night. But now I heard her talking on the phone to her friend, and she said, I just can't imagine like selling our house. I only am a teacher. I'm gonna have a very, very small income. I don't know how we can do it. And that's the reason that she stayed with my dad for 30 years, because she's so afraid of taking the next step, and I'm not sure that she can. And I don't really know what to do. I can't, I feel like I'm the reason that they would be getting divorced, actually. That's what I feel like, and it's a terrible, heavy, terrible weight. My mom says it's not me. Like, she thanks me for giving her a voice and standing up to my dad because she can't stand up to him. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I'm just trying my best to live authentically because my parents don't live authentically, and my mom has told me so many times that she does not love my dad, and she's trying to make it work. She's trying to show forgiveness, be a good role model to me, show forgiveness, show that you can make it work, because her parents, they had values much like my mom's that have proved to be not so helpful to me. They always pretended, tried to be happy even though things weren't going well, hid stuff. That's what my mom does. She hides stuff. She hides her emotions. She hides how bad depression can be. She hides that there's anything wrong with her marriage, and she just wants to think that if you think positive, things will work out, but that's not always true. And in this case, it is not true. And I think that divorce would be best, but I don't know if they will, because last summer they said that they would, because my dad exploded at me in Portland. He got drunk, he Oh yeah, he was an alcoholic, and recently he had to go to rehab because he crashed the car drunk driving. Um, yeah, recently he went to rehab, so he's finally stopped drinking, and that's good. And that was why I was hopeful that things were getting better. And my family, when I came back from college, seemed pretty happy, and I thought things were okay, but I just had this bad feeling in my gut. And I think I might have post-traumatic stress disorder because, like, when we went out to eat for Mother's Day, like looking at my dad, I just felt so sick, and like I felt like my throat was like tight and I couldn't breathe, and it was not fun, but I hid it pretty well. So, yeah. So he stopped drinking. But last summer in Portland, he got drunk on the train, drunk off his mind, told me I was pathetic, told me I was a failure, told me that he's so disappointed in me. Um, yeah, and then started swearing at me, saying, fuck off, like, I'm gonna fucking cut you off. You're just a failure, disappointment. And this went on until we were in the train station, and I tried to just, like, run away, but then I was like, I can't leave my mom and my dad, like, okay, calm down, we can work this out. So my dad's just drunk, it's okay, like, once he gets sober, he'll feel better, like, it's okay. But I was still so pissed off and so mad. I just went into shutdown mode. I didn't say a word, and that made it worse. My dad just kept saying, you're pathetic. You can't even stand up for yourself. You're so pathetic. Just stuff like that. And so we got into a cab, and right when we got into the cab, my parents pulled themselves together and talked to the cab driver like everything was fine. But as soon as we got into the hotel room, shit went down. So my mom left because she was just so emotional. She couldn't stand it. She left the hotel. I was in the hotel room with my dad, alone with my dad, and he was just yelling at me, saying I'm pathetic. I honestly thought that he might hurt me, so I locked myself in the bathroom, and he said, I can't believe you're scared. How are you scared? Like, you can't stand anything. Like, you're such a failure. I can't believe you. You're pathetic. Like, oh my God. Like, why would you be scared of me? And it was terrifying. If he saw himself, he would be scared of himself. It was terrifying. So I was in the bathroom on the phone with my friend, telling her what was happening, texting people, oh my God, I have so many stories that relate to each other. I'm so sorry. This is going to be quite the YouTube channel. Okay, I'll tell you about this guy I was texting later in a different story. That will be the next video I do, the story about this guy named Patrick. So I texted Patrick, who I have not talked to for a long time. We had a very intense relationship that was not healthy at all. And it was a bad idea that I started talking to him again, I think, but I did. And I started talking to this girl, Kennedy, and she said I could stay with her, but then the next day she told me, oh, I'm really busy, and I realized that our friendship was kind of falling apart. Sophomore year, our friendship hadn't been like the best. Like, I definitely didn't feel close to her anymore, and I started feeling really anxious around her, and that's why I didn't hang out with her as much. But I don't think there was any way for me to like fully express why I didn't hang out with her, because she just wouldn't understand social anxiety the way that someone who experiences it does. So I didn't really want to keep talking to her, so I started texting this girl, Katie, who I was planning on living with the next school year in Spokane, and she told me that I could sublease for her and live in Spokane during the summer. So I was like, yes, I need to escape this household. This is not healthy for me. So in the bathroom, I was planning on living in Spokane, and I was planning on going straight from Portland home and then taking a bus to Spokane and living in Spokane for the summer and hopefully finding a job. So I was planning all this out while my dad was yelling at me, and my mom was gone, and I was trying to call my mom, and my dad was like, you're talking to your mom, and I wasn't talking to my mom. He's like, where's your mother? You better find your mother. You guys are teaming up against me. But that was not what was going on. We were both terrified. So yeah, I couldn't contact my mom. I was like, where the fuck is my mom? I don't know. So eventually my mom comes back. We both go out into the hall. We're both incredibly upset. I'm crying. My dad is yelling at us. He's just laying on the bed yelling and just grumpy. And I tell my mom like how sad I had been. And that was the reason that I hadn't been doing that much that summer. And that was the reason that my dad was like, he thought I was such a failure because I really hadn't been doing that much. Like most of the time I was just laying in my bed because I was just sad. And I tried to get a job, but I didn't try hard enough. And I didn't get a job. Getting a job is hard. And I just felt so defeated and getting rejected again and again. I'll tell you about my sophomore year in the next video. It was a really rough year for me, and yeah. So my mom and I were in the hall. I was buying a train ticket back to Seattle. And my dad was just laying in the bed, and I was telling her how sad I was. And I told my dad, like, you don't know how sad I was. Like, I wanted to kill myself. And he said, well, if you think that low of yourself, go kill yourself right now. Just go kill yourself. He told me to go kill myself. So I was like, I should. And so I ran, and I was like, there's a window right there. I want to jump out of it. It was a fire escape. And I was like, I want to jump out of this window right now. My mom grabbed me. She's like, no, Sarah. And then she ran up to my dad. She's like, David, Sarah wants to kill herself. What are you going to say? He's like, I don't care. She can do what she wants. Like, if she thinks that low of herself, then she should. And that was just the most heartbreaking thing I've ever heard in my life. So I bought my train ticket. I stayed up the whole night editing a hiking video of me and my sister going to Snow Lake for my 20th birthday. My 20th birthday, which my dad did not even acknowledge. He didn't even say happy birthday because he was so disappointed in me because the day before I had rear-ended someone, and he was incredibly pissed off about that. Incredibly pissed off. And the reason I rear-ended someone was because I was so emotional and so anxious. Like, I felt like I was having a breakdown and I wasn't paying enough attention to the road, and I hit somebody. And he was really mad. So that was probably one of the triggers for this whole meltdown. He kind of holds things inside, and they come out when he has a little bit of alcohol, and it came out. So I just stayed up the whole night editing my video. I got up at 6 a.m. I didn't have any breakfast because, like, whenever something like this happens, I really, like, my obsessive thoughts about controlling my diet come back. So I just didn't want to eat. I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to lose as much weight as possible. So I didn't eat. I had some coffee. I walked around town, probably 2 miles. It was really creepy because a couple of people catcalled me. I was wearing like Lululemon yoga pants, and people like commented about my ass. So that was kind of creepy. And then I got kind of lost, and I had to use my iPhone GPS to get back. And then my parents told me that they got a train ticket back also, and asked if we could ride to the train station together. And when I got back, I was so pissed off because my dad was acting like he didn't do anything wrong, and he was like coddling my mom and telling me that I had broken my mom's heart, telling me like, apologize to your mother, you broke your mother's heart, Sarah, how could you do that? And she was just crying. My dad was trying to comfort her. They clearly had talked and were working things out between each other. But what about me? What about me? So we rode to the train station together. I didn't talk to them at all the whole time. I got on the train by myself. They didn't even see me get on the train, and for all they knew, I didn't even get on the train. Lucky for them, I did. I remember I had some Diet Coke because I started getting really hungry, and then all of a sudden my appetite was just completely gone, and I was happy about that. And I got home after probably 4-hour train ride and then an Uber drive back home. I went to my bedroom, I started packing my stuff, and the soonest that I could get to Spokane was a week. So I had a week to live in my house with my mom and dad. My mom said she was going to divorce my dad, but then she changed her mind because, I don't know, they worked it out somehow. And they never talked to me about what happened. They never acknowledged how bad it was for me. So, yeah, it made me feel like I was crazy because apparently nothing that bad had happened. And for some reason, Sarah's mad at her dad and wants to go to Spokane. So I went to Spokane. My sister drove me, and I unpacked my stuff. I was living on the 3rd story in this girl Katie's room with people I didn't know, girls I didn't know. There were 4 of them. My social anxiety was so bad. I didn't want to talk to them. They scared me so much. I felt so abnormal. I felt lower than any person. I felt so low. I felt like anything I said, like, I couldn't say because I felt choked up. So the next video I'll talk about the summer. It was not that fun, but right now I'm just going to talk a little bit more about what's happening right now. So right now it's the summer after that summer, and I am at home because my parents told me that they were working things out. My dad stopped drinking. Things were getting so much better. They went to couples therapy. My sister felt better. Slowly, I started to figure out that this was not the case. It was more like a facade. They were trying to get better. Maybe things were getting better, but they were not better. And there's so much past that it really can't change the way that they think it can. I found out that my sister definitely has depression. She talked to me about how she's feeling like really numb. She definitely does have depression, even though she seems better on the outside. She has friends now. She's playing sports. She laughs a lot. She smiles a lot. She seems happy, but she gets waves of just intense not wanting to do anything, and I know that she has depression. So I tried to tell my mom. She didn't really seem like she wanted to talk about it, so I sent her a bunch of links, like signs of depression, articles like what to do if your kid's depressed. And when I sent her those links, she got the text messages. She was in the kitchen. I was sitting on the stairs by the kitchen texting her because it's really uncomfortable and hard for me to talk about. And she said, "I am so hurt." And I knew she was hurt by the articles. She said, "You think I'm stupid? You think I haven't been through shit in my life?" And I'm like, "Mom, no, that's not what I think. I'm just trying to help and trying to start a conversation. But it's very hard for me to start this, so I thought maybe like if we both do some research, because I know sitting on my laptop and doing research about depression helps me, so I know I'm not alone, and watching YouTube videos about people talk about it and how it's a real thing, but it's not the end of the world. Like my dad seems to think it is. When someone's depressed, they're ill, and they're not even themselves, and it's terrifying." So I just wanted my mom to be like more educated and open to talking about it. So that's why I sent her those articles. I don't think she's dumb, and I know she's dealt with a lot. Her dad died when she was younger, and I can't even imagine how terrible that would be. So I know she's been through a lot, but she doesn't talk about it with me. So I just wanted to start a conversation in a way that wasn't world ending, because whenever my parents talk to me about it, it seems like it's the end of the world and that like it's hopeless and I should just kill myself and that I'm a failure for not doing anything up to this date. So I go into the kitchen and my mom says, "I've been trying to help her since 7th grade," because I definitely have been depressed since probably 7th grade. And my dad's like, "Oh, this is what we're talking about." And that's when he explodes again. And this was last night. He explodes again. He says I'm ill, that he's so worried about me because I'm so ill. And that was when my mom's emotions come out. She says that she doesn't love him, that she doesn't want to be in this marriage. And I found out that the day before she had been looking at apartments. And this kind of confirms the gut feeling that I had been feeling ever since I got home, just this bad feeling that something was going to go wrong and that everything that they were saying was fake. So I find out this is true. My mom is so unhappy. Her marriage is fake. She's been forcing it for years. My sister's depressed, even though they think she's happy. The day before, my sister and I had a long conversation in the car about the way that we both feel. And so I just find out that everything is not okay. And right now it does not seem okay. And right now I don't know what's going to happen. So I'll keep you guys posted on what's going to happen. I'll also tell you stories that kind of relate to the story I just told. I'll tell you about last summer more, and I'll tell you about this guy that I was texting. So thank you for watching. And yeah, hopefully you guys will leave some supportive comments, or hopefully like someone watches this video. I don't even know if I'll get any views because the past YouTube channels I've had have been pretty unsuccessful, pretty much no views. So yeah, okay.